I know that many young people will look at me and they will think, I can't believe that man was ever my age, but I was. I am going on 75, but seeing what's going on in our world today and the terrorism that's taking place in our streets and the lack of jobs for young people brings back a flood of memories for me. And it really makes me realize that when we're young, we often feel that we are on a fast track to get what we want and to have a life that is satisfying. Young people often will get married to the person that they probably shouldn't have married because they're so afraid that they're not going to have another person come along. But what we really need to realize is that life is a process of growth. And the older that we become, God willing, the more wisdom we will have. If I could go back in time and be 24 again, I would only want to do it if I could go there with the knowledge that I have now, because I can remember how difficult a time I had when I was in my early 20s. I felt hopeless. When I was in my early days of college, I could remember that there was this thing went around that California was about to have a major earthquake and that it was going to fall off the planet essentially out into the ocean. And some friends and I who were trying to avoid the draft thought, oh, we should pretend like we've moved to California so when it happens, we will have an excuse that not applying for the draft because we must be missing somewhere out there. But of course that didn't happen. I can remember a young woman that I was madly in love with, and when I was probably a junior in college, I proposed to her and she turned me down. And I thought my life had ended. No one will ever want me. Well, I suppose some people would look at me now as a monk and think, well, that must have been true. No one wanted you. But the reality of it all is that in time, I discovered what God wanted for me to be in my life. I had a misplaced youth in many ways. But over time, God was patient with me. And I had the image of adults that were senior to me by many years, including my beloved parents, whom I didn't always agree with, but I ultimately looked to them for guidance and an example of what it meant to be a good human being in this world. So what I would like to say to all of the young people who may be watching this is there's hope. The hope must be grounded in Jesus Christ. And when we focus our life on Christ and on living a holy life within the life of the church, hope grows because mercy grows. And then we can look at all that is happening in our world and we can say, oh my gosh, this is awful. But during my young years, there was a lot that was wrong with the world. There was a Vietnam War that had kept going on and on and on. And many young people were dying as soldiers in that war. And there were others of us who were, violently protesting on campuses and in the streets of America. I look back at my role in all of that with shame. But in the bigger light of things, God has been merciful to me. And I am grateful to God for leading me ultimately to the Orthodox Church and to Christ. And I look to so many priests and bishops that I have known in my life with gratitude that God put them in my life at a time when I really needed them. And I look to so many adult people, including professors that I had when I was in college and graduate school, that inspired me and challenged me. So I would say to the young who might be listening to this, be patient. Be patient with yourselves, be patient with your friends. Take a deep breath, smile more often. If you're out of a job, remember that you're not the first person to be out of a job. The Great Depression had people lining streets to get food, bowls of soup and bread. We haven't reached that point yet. But even if we do, there's still hope. And the hope is that we as humans will find our path back to God and be at peace with one another and be in service to others and not to self. For it is in service to others that we are in service to God. And God's love will reign forever.